Let me pose a question. Does a player averaging close to a 30-point triple-double deserve MVP consideration? What about someone putting together one of the greatest defensive campaigns we've ever witnessed? Or a guy dropping 34 points per night, going for 40 a game across an entire month? Is he a legitimate candidate? And what about a player posting the most efficient 30-point season in league history while leading his team to 65 victories? The answer, honestly, is straightforward. Every single one of these seasons is MVP-worthy. But here's the real problem. What happens when all of these seasons are occurring simultaneously? 4 players, 4 genuinely compelling arguments, and only 1 trophy to hand out. So who deserves to be called the NBA's most valuable player this year? Well, that entirely depends on your perspective and what criteria you prioritize. Winning MVP typically requires putting up numbers that immediately grab your attention. It isn't everything, but massive, eye-popping box score performances have essentially become a baseline requirement for the award. And right now, there are 2 players who don't merely stand out this season. They stand out against every season ever played. Purely on raw production, Jokic and Luka are leaving the entire league behind this year. Their statistics have reached such ridiculous levels that they make SGA's 31, 4, and 7 look almost ordinary. Add together their per-game points, rebounds, and assists, and Jokic and Luka are producing 2 of the top 5 most dominant individual seasons in modern NBA history. Jokic joins the 50-40-90 club, an exclusive group previously occupied only by 2017 MVP Russell Westbrook, 2025 Jokic, and 2024 Luka. But if raw numbers alone guaranteed someone the MVP, then Jokic would have claimed the award in 2025 and Luka would have taken it in 2024. Same goes for James Harden in 2019, Luka again in 2023, and LeBron back in 2018. As individual statistics keep climbing across the league, so does the regularity of these historically significant campaigns. Remarkably, 17 of the last 20 most productive seasons in modern NBA history have all occurred within just the past 8 years. Seasons that were once not only MVP-worthy, but genuinely historic milestones are now becoming a yearly occurrence for players like Jokic, Luka, and Giannis. And the more frequently we witness these jaw-dropping numbers, the less jaw-dropping they actually feel. Not long ago, averaging a triple-double practically handed Russell Westbrook the MVP as a 6th seed. But in today's NBA, averaging a near 30-point triple-double might not even crack the top 3 in MVP voting. Unlike the other superstars around the league who fill stat sheets through sheer volume, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has held his position as the MVP frontrunner, with a season defined by record-setting efficiency and remarkable consistency, all while leading the strongest team in the entire league. According to ESPN's net points metric, Shai has delivered only 5 poor performances all season. In fact, only 1 season in league history produced a more efficient scoring guard averaging at least 30 points per game, and that belonged to the greatest shooter ever during the finest year of his career. But calling Shai simply efficient this season dramatically undersells what he's accomplished. Through this point in the season, Shai is generating 1.66 points every single time he attempts a shot. That is the highest points per shot figure by any high-volume scoring guard in NBA history. The 2026 version of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander isn't having merely one of the most efficient guard seasons ever recorded. He is producing the most efficient scoring season of all time. Now, stacked against these 3, Victor Wembanyama's raw numbers look somewhat modest by comparison. Much of his value arrives on the defensive end of the floor. You won't find many headlines from his stat line, but Victor has operated under a minutes restriction throughout the entire season. When we normalize his production on a per 75 minutes basis, the true scope of his impact on every game he plays becomes undeniable. His box score contributions match those of the other candidates, even without prioritizing offense. However, earning the title of most valuable player in basketball demands value that extends well beyond any stat line. But even moving past the raw numbers doesn't simplify this decision at all. Who is the most valuable player this season? That depends entirely on your definition of value. In estimated plus-minus, it is Shai who leads not just the rest of this year's field, but holds the 3rd highest single-season EPM figure of any player this century, sitting behind only 2019 MVP James Harden and 2016 MVP Steph Curry. In crafted plus-minus, it is Nikola Jokic who stands as the league's top player this season, followed closely by Wemby and then Shai. And in daily plus-minus, it is again Jokic who leads the entire NBA by a comfortable margin. If these comprehensive advanced metrics told the complete story, Nikola Jokic would be collecting his 4th MVP trophy before the season concluded. Fortunately for everyone else in the conversation, a player's value to his team simply cannot be reduced to one single number. Based on preseason projections, here are the anticipated win totals for each of these teams heading into the year. These projections can miss for various reasons: unexpected injuries, surprising development from younger players, and naturally, the individual impact of an elite superstar. The Denver Nuggets were projected to finish with 54 wins entering the season. They are currently tracking toward roughly 52. The Thunder were projected to land around 63 victories, a number they appear set to surpass by 2. The Lakers were projected to finish at 47 wins and are currently on pace for 53. But it is the Spurs who have completely shattered every expectation this year. Preseason oddsmakers had them pegged at 45 wins. They are currently tracking towards 62, exceeding their projection by an extraordinary 17 games. If you're searching for the player delivering the greatest measurable value, perhaps it's the man who has turned the Spurs from a mere playoff hopeful into a genuine championship contender.
3 arguments. My first one would be that defense is 50% of the game and that it is undervalued. So far in the MVP race, I believe I'm the most impactful player defensively in the league. Second argument would be we almost swept OKC in the season and we dominated them. My third argument would be that offense impact is not just points.